In this episode of VCast Studio with Naveen Naqvi.
There were emperors and there were kings and there were people who had great in front of their name and they all died and they left when the world keeps going. So if you want to ensure that the legacy of the work is carried on for whatever you do, then you need to become a mentor. You might not be the smartest person in the room, but because you have the biggest designation, people will look towards you for answers. And leadership is, in my book, it's emotional labor. It's not, I'm the boss and I call the shots and I'm it. That was very 1960s way of working. Design degrees teach you how to manage chaos. Majority of the work that we do in Pakistan is original work. Like, you've been given a brief and you have to find a solution. There's no shortage of brains in this business. It's the lack of backbone which hampers good work from happening. The day I say that I know everything is the day that I'm finished. And if you live by that in your head, that this is Clint Eastwood saying, he's won so many Oscars and he's a legend.
Today we have with us in the VCast studio Atiya Zaidi, who is the CEO and creative head of BBDO. Welcome to the VCast studio.
Thank you.
What we're doing here is that we're aiming to answer questions that interest young professionals and people who are aspiring to take on executive level positions. And we're interviewing people such as yourself who are team leaders that are committed to creating a generation that is worthy of taking the reins from people like you in specialized fields. The first thing I want to ask you is that, as I said, CEO and creative head. So how is that to have those two hats, and what unique position do you bring into advertising coming from the creative side?
I think because our business is creativity. That's what we sell. And it's like making an engineer the CEO of a car company, right? Because he understands what the team needs to build the best car, right? Build the best product. And if somebody who is good at making the product, they become the decision maker or, have the responsibility of taking the company forward, then it helps at every level. That's the unique thing that I can bring in, because even if I'm not being the creative in a meeting, let's say some other creative is presenting their work and all, and the client would look, and it's more of like a designation syndrome, that you might not be the smartest person in the room, but because you have the biggest designation, people will look towards you for answers, right? And it's also called the hippo, the highest paid person's opinion in the room. it's a hippo thing, which a lot of companies are actively trying to avoid. Because if some said something, or your owner said something, or the CEO said something, and everybody's just agreeing because that's what the boss said, and the boss might not be making sense, right? He or she is also human. So coming back to your question, I think the unique thing that any creative, being the business head, can bring in is that they would look at problems from a different angle. They would always look for solutions. So if another creative was presenting an idea and the client looks towards you with some feedback, not at the creative, but because you have the same kind of germs as they do, you can give an answer, okay, but that can be solved like this and that, right? So that really helps when the whole pressure of selling the work is not only on the creative teams, right? And that's what a lot of client servicing people and business people need to learn too, how to sell the work. Because what's been happening, and I'm giving a very long answer, so feel free to edit it.
No, that's good. We want to hear your expertise.
There was a time when creatives never used to go in front of the clients. It would always be client servicing people who would take the work from you and then go and sell it to the client and bring back the feedback. You did not used to expose your creatives to clients. Then times changed. Then you had LinkedIn and you had things where the clients can go and see, okay, Mary, who's the creative on my work, right? And then it flipped to a level where you had meetings where only the creative would talk and client servicing will say nothing, right? So then that's the balance that they need to find, both the teams, that how the creative learns to become the salesman and how the CS also needs to learn to be the creative. So it needs to go hand in hand. And because I have two roles, so I have to look at the business angle and I can do the selling from that point of view. And because I'm creative, I can understand what the nuance here is, or what is the creative director pushing for.
So you're the balance, actually.
I would like to boast so, but I don't like
From a creative point of view, do you think that there is original storytelling taking place right now in advertising? And you don't have to limit yourself to Pakistan, but it would be good if you did.
I think nothing is new under the sun. It's how you change it and how you make it new is what matters. Even in the storytelling world of books and theater and films, they say there are only 7 plots, and then there is only one hero's journey, and how you mix it up and you mash it up is the way that, and the characters that make it true.
Yeah, but do you get a pitch delivered to you, or do you still or a storyboard delivered to you, or do you still have original like storyboards, for instance, in advertising?
Of course we do. Yeah.
You do.
Yeah. So I guess you mean that we're adapting regional work. No. There's a lot of the work, majority of the work that we do in Pakistan is original work. Like, you've been given a brief and you have to find a solution. Now, what is the idea? What is the concept? What are the touch points? How are you going to take it forward? And of course, keeping all the objectives in mind.
Okay.
So, yeah. I mean, that's not only us. The majority of the companies in Pakistan are doing that. That the regional work, there was a time when a lot of work was coming from the region and you just had to adapt it in Pakistan. It is still happening on some multinational brands.
So what kind of, for young people who want to come into advertising, what kind of degrees would be useful to them? And what is the importance of design degrees, for instance?
Design degrees teach you how to manage chaos. How everything which is a mess, and how do you boil it down and stem it to a point where it becomes beautiful and it becomes pleasing to the eyes and it's attention grabbing. So design degrees are extremely important in terms of thinking a form and function together, which, and there are so many tricks to it now. People who use Canva can think that they're also designers, but understand the basics of it and then use whatever tools. They're all tools, right? Somebody who uses a pencil is also a designer. Somebody who uses Photoshop, Canva, and Freelance, all these illustrators of the world is also a designer. These are tools. But thinking how design works and what is the function of it and what do you have to achieve with it is what design degrees help you with. Then you can end up, designing clothes, not be a graphic designer. But if you understand the foundation of it and why design is so important, then, it can take you to different places. And for young people coming in, the world is changing, but it has always been changing. Like 100 years ago, we couldn't imagine taking an airplane or going to the moon. And now you're not even shocked or happy when you sit in an airplane, right? It's an everyday thing now. But what a wonder of engineering that is, that you have conquered gravity.
Yeah.
And so things will keep changing. What these degrees help you, what as many degrees that you can get or courses that you can do, it will give you that analytical skill, which is more needed now. You can have the machines do the work for you, but you'll still have to tell the machine what to do. It's like a physical encyclopedia said was different. It was more time consuming, but you will stumble upon more things. If you've taken one volume and you're looking for something and you ending up finding 10 more other things which will get stored in your brain.
Yeah.
But Google, you have to tell Google what I'm looking for, right? You have to seek it. And that is going to be with ChatGPT and with AI. You're going to ask it very simple question. It will come back with very simplistic answers.
Right.
But if you know what is the problem that you need to solve. So Einstein used to say that if I have been given 24 hours to solve a problem, I will spend 23 hours or something like that on looking at the problem and 1 hour on solving it.
Yeah.
But what technology has enabled people is to jump to execution before giving it thought.
Right.
And any design school, design course, analytical thinking, creative thinking, copywriting, all of these courses will give you the tools to think first and then act.
And then what about sort of on-the-job learning and training and the importance of mentorship? Do you consider yourself to be a mentor?
I don't know, but I think that is one of the tasks as a leader, right?
Yeah.
You have to look for your successors. You are not going to be there forever, and you shouldn't be. But who is your successor? Who's going to take the charge? I think that's what every leader should think about, regardless of the industry that they're in, right? There were emperors and there were kings and there were people who had great in front of their name, and they all died and they left. And the world keeps going. So if you want to ensure that the legacy of the work is carried on for whatever you do, then you need to become a mentor. And leadership is, in my book, it's emotional labor. It's not, I'm the boss and I call the shots and I'm it. That was a very 1960s way of working, maybe the kind of bosses that we had in times, and there were some very amazing ones. But a lot of it was very top down, right? So there is this version, a picture of that. This is what old leadership used to look like. So there is one person at the end of a boat, and he has a loudspeaker and he's shouting, and everyone else is just rowing, putting their head down. And that's not what leadership can be today. It's wrong to assume that if I'm the boss, I don't need to do any work. Or if I'm the boss, then I can give people a shut-up call. No. They have opinions. They have questions.
Right. So I can see that you have a very democratic way of thinking about leadership.
This is a very interesting way of putting it.
It's a compliment.
Thank you. No, I think it's and it's something that you have to learn, because if you've seen bosses who were about top down, and but you've seen bosses who were empathetic, that those role models sort of define you. So if you, and I give this example that how people look towards, if you're a small child and you fall down, the first thing you do is to look towards the parents, their reactions. Are they worried? Are they like, oh my God, he fell down? And even before that you got hurt or not, you will start crying. Because the person that you look towards who is panicking right now, so something horrible must have happened to me. And that's the same in a way in the office environment. So if you're the boss and you're panicking, then everybody under you is going to lose, And people tend to overthink what the boss said, or trying to read between the lines when there are no lines, It was it, this is it. But it's constantly, you have to tell them that. And I think empathy is something that is the thing for me, for leadership, that you have to be empathetic.
Coming from empathy, I want to talk about emotional intelligence. I mean, that's something that we sort of tend to overlook. But,
yes, yeah.
So, but for you, you think it's a key aspect of leadership?
Yes, I think it's more important than even IQ.
Yeah.
But, how do you find a balance? And any business is like that. You could be a cloth merchant and one person comes in and tells you have the most wonderful stuff, and the other person comes in and is rude to you and say you're overcharging and you are pathetic and your shop is pathetic. That's what any business's day and night is like, right? And I have this analogy for it, and I was telling my team members the other day that it's like putting on fitted sheets, and the sheet is small and the mattress is big. So you put in one side and the other one pops out, and then you try to put that one and the other one pops out. And maybe in a way, life is also like that. 24 hours, you can have a good day, but within that good day, you had some really micro bad moments. Yeah. You can have a really bad day and you have some really micro good moments. And if you can find that and have that emotional balance to, say it's okay, right? I think there's a very nice word for it also. Equanimity, which is finding the balance of good and bad and understanding that's what life is. So if any person in your team excels at EQ, you hold on to those people, because they will go and talk to other humans. All your clients, they're human, right? They also have fears and they have worries, and they are worried about their job or the targets that have been pushed on them, all of those things. But if you come in as not from a human angle, and you come in from a very, this is what you asked me to do, and here you go, and this is your problem. So EQ would not only help you within your teams, but it will also help you with growing your business. In And if you get goodwill from another human being, it's not about making more money. Money would become a byproduct of it when you do it.
So when we
Job
talk
well
about
done.
how leadership has changed over the years and how you've seen it change, I mean, I'm going to state the obvious. The fact that you're a female head of an agency is something new. Yes, and there are not that many women who are in...
There are not many, but they are. I'm glad I'm not the first. I'm very happy about it. So you have Seema Jafar, who's the CEO of Bond Advertising. Sara Qureshi was the first one who became the CEO of a MNC in Pakistan. That was when she took over JWT, and she was also a planner. So somebody who knew how the job is done, who understands the product, then became a business head. And so I don't think I'm the first. Even Seema Tahir,
Yes,
for a very long
I've
time.
worked with
Yes.
Seema Tahir, yeah.
So, so you have, we have people, I think Ruby Heather also, Nida Heather is also head of the agency, and I'm sure there are more.
So you're saying that there are opportunities for women in advertising, but it is still a male-dominated field, wouldn't you agree?
Besides teaching, I don't think there is any field which is female-dominated. Everything else is. And farming maybe is female-dominated, but they are unaccounted for, so we don't know the
Quite
reality
right.
of it.
Quite right. But how can that be changed? I mean, we like to look at things in a positive way over here, and we like to provide solutions rather than just, you know, talking about what might be wrong.
Yeah.
What can be the way around that? One of the things that you said, for instance, is design degrees. If female students work in that area and move on to that kind of career.
Yeah.
But is advertising a viable career for young women who might be thinking about it?
Oh, it's a great career. I mean, there are a lot more women in advertising, especially in creative departments, strategy departments, even client servicing. I don't think it's a male-dominated field. I think we have a good balance. I won't have any numbers for it, okay, you know, if it's what is the percentage and all. There's no data being collected on it. But it is a great working environment because the field requires you to make things up and get paid for it. You know, if you just think about it in its simplicity, you're making things up in your head and you get a salary at the end of the day, right? Who else gives you that? And then the other thing for women, why it's great is that it's more of a thinking job. There is a lot more options to work from home. Like we have a completely hybrid system. I don't have an office in Karachi. I work from my home. So if mothers, and we have so many of those who decided to have children while on the job or got married on the job and then had children, nothing gets interrupted because the work nature is such that you can work from wherever. And so that's
wonderful. I didn't
thing.
know that. So that's very good to know.
Yeah. And that I think is, there are pros and cons to anything and everything in life. But advertising is one field which would, you know, your work would not suffer, your skills would not suffer, you will keep learning, and you can do all of that from home. Yes.
Do you think that advertising and the kind of work that you do has the power to challenge norms and to shape minds?
Yes, definitely.
Give me an example.
Oh, so many. Like we think that a pair of shoes can make you a better, fitter person or can bring the athlete out on you. That's Nike. It's a shoe. Human beings have been wearing shoes for a very, very long time, but not before that this behavior was in synced with a product. Like I give the Oreo example a lot. That a biscuit that taught you that you're supposed to twist it and then you're supposed to lick it and you're supposed to dunk it. And it's a fantastic example of shaping human behavior related to a cookie.
Yeah.
You know, it created a ritual out of it. When people celebrate around the world, they drink champagne. Why not anything else, right? You get engaged and you're supposed to buy a diamond ring. Why not anything else? That has shaped human behavior. And that's all brand led.
Yeah.
So the good things that advertisers can do, it is actually a responsibility.
Yeah. How does that responsibility get applied here in Pakistan?
So I'm so glad you asked that. So, you know, one small thing that we used to work for Dettol, and they have a floor cleaner product. I said, well, in our ad, we will make sure that the father is the one who's doing the pocha. And But it was like, why? We always show women. It was like, yeah, but this time let's show the father. Simple change. Nothing much, nothing extraordinary.
Except it's groundbreaking.
But no, I mean, you've seen it
Yes.
before, but not consciously done, right? And this is a lot of unconscious bias that has been coming in because things have been, we've been doing things in a certain way, let's just keep doing them. But the world is changing. So the little kids who are watching that ad would think, well, Dad, you can do this also. Mom doesn't need to. And it's also the same for the moms, right? It's also showing, so I give this example a lot of Shan Foods, what we did for Shan Foods with Dr. Bahu. So it's a very glaring fact that 77% of women, and this is the Pakistan Medical Council saying that, association saying that, 77% of women in Pakistan get a medical degree, but they do not practice. So you have these amazing, intelligent, capable women sitting at home because of a cultural problem. It is yes, an ecosystem problem also, that they don't have 24-hour daycare centers. They do not have that support. It's a cultural problem also, that the woman is still expected to work like as if she doesn't have a family, and then have a family as if she doesn't work. But being a doctor is really hard. 36 hours, you don't come home. 36 hours, you don't shower. You are in the hospital. You don't sleep. And when you come home, now you have to take care of a family. And then here, get this cold treatment from your husband or your family or from your kids that, where were you, right? Now you have to do this. You're never there for me. It's an unrealistic, inhumane expectation from anyone. So the ad was all about, so we picked this moment when the doctors, when they start their study, there's a white coat ceremony. So the university gives them a white coat and they take an oath. And that happens across medical colleges here in Pakistan or across the board. Every college has their own different version of the oath, but it is based on the Hippocratic oath that every doctor takes, right? And so we took that oath when the doctor is standing there on stage with her whole class and raising her right hand and saying that as a doctor, I will, prioritize the patient life of my patients. And there's a mother-in-law sitting in the audience and she's saying, as a Dr. Bahu, as a daughter-in-law, you will prioritize your kitchen. So it was, and then she says that the health of my patients and their safety would be my first priority. And then the mother-in-law is saying, what is going to be cooked in her kitchen is going to be her first priority, right? And then you show that the mother-in-law is in the kitchen and the doctor comes in and hands her over the baby and she leaves for work. And the mother-in-law is the one who's doing the cooking with the husband. So that's where Shan comes in, because the recipes are so simple that anyone can make great food. It doesn't take you a lot of time. And they've been saying this for decades, that it's, cooking food is not one person's responsibility. So we picked on that. And then the mother-in-law takes the baby and the food and she goes, sees the daughter-in-law at work. So gives her that home-cooked food, makes her meet her baby, and then come back. So that is, even if he impacted one life, that it taught a mother-in-law that I can be there for her. Or it taught a husband that I don't have to, make her life hell because she's been working. Then I think we've done our job.
I think it's a good story. I think that storytelling is what advertising really comes down to in the end. And I think that's a good story to tell. If we're telling stories and we're building brands, let's talk about Pakistan for a minute.
Okay.
Pakistan as a brand.
Yeah.
How would you build that brand?
Oh, it needs so much help. Needs so much help. And it's not even building a brand for an international audience. I think Pakistan needs to build a brand for its local audience, for the Pakistani audience. That the brand Pakistan is bruised right now. It is battered right now. It's going through all the kind of lows that you can, imagine or not imagine for a country. And national pride is something that gives people hope. It gives people sort of like a pathway. So I'll give you one example without coaching any or favoring any political party. But when the whole this Naya Pakistan thing was, implemented and Imran Khan came into power, what happened was I was at a KFC and standing in line, and there was a guy who was cutting the line, and I think it was like 5 or 6 months after his coming into power. And so there was a waiter there, like a server, and he told the guy in a very laughing manner, "Sir, ये नया पाकिस्तान है, इसमें line नहीं काटते, पीछे चले जाए," you know. And then, you know, people had a smile about it, and the guy also is like, "हाँ, ठीक है, सही है, whatever." It was a little thing. It was a very little thing. It's a slogan, right?
Yeah.
And somebody who put the narrative of the country, like, let's say, "Make America Great Again," or, you know, "We Can," that Obama campaign did, or "Made in India," the way that "Make It in India," the way Modi campaign did.
Incredible India
They
also.
give people a sense of an anchor point that, okay, this is who we are and this is how we act. And we don't have that as a nation. We don't have that as part. What does it mean to be a Pakistani? If I am wearing the Pakistani badge on myself, what does it say about me, right? And right now it says all the wrong things. And for a very long time, it's been saying the wrong thing.
What
So
are the right
corrupt
things?
nation.
What are the right things to say?
Oh, the resilient people who keep showing up no matter what, you know. And I'm not talking about political acumen or anything like people who just show up. Imagine the problems that the common man or a woman has to go through, right? Infrastructure, right? Poverty, inflation, cost of living it's not even a first world term for us. It's very, very real. Still, they get up and they smile. And they show up every day.
I know. How do they do it?
Where do you get that? I mean, you know, the first world countries, they take more antidepressants. Well, maybe we can't afford them. Otherwise, we would be taking them. But the point is that these people, our people, the Pakistani people, they will invite you in their home and they will make you sit down and they will not let you leave until you eat or drink something from there. Like, you have to have that chai, you have to have that food with them, no matter if they don't have enough to share. They will not close the door on you. And that's what, you know, there was another book, I think it's called Pakistan, the Hard Place, and I mentioned it before, that says that the reason that Pakistan continues to exist is kinship. That we have this sense of bonding with each other, that, okay, fine, I'll help you. And I've seen that on the road, I've seen that.
Resilience, community,
Kindness.
hospitality,
We have
kindness.
kindness.
These are the qualities. But we also have a real wealth of talent, I feel.
Yeah.
For instance, there are all of these students who are coming out of these new universities who are, you know, thinking very well. But what tends to happen, and I don't know if that's still the case, but what tends to happen is that they go to North America or to Europe or to elsewhere, Middle East, in the world. And what would it take for those people to stay here and give us some of that? Or what does it take for the people who are there to give back here to Pakistan? I think these are some things to think about. What do you think?
I think they're very, very macro problems, right? We can have, you can do campaigns on it. You can tell people how great it is and come back. But until you change things on ground, people will call you out. That's the same with any ad that you make or any campaign that you make. If you're making a claim about your brand related to the product, and if it doesn't live up to it, that is misleading, untruthful advertising. That's lying, right? That's the same with any country's brand. If I make a claim about Pakistan and it's not rooted in reality, or you are not delivering on the promise that you're making, people are not stupid. Nobody's stupid. No. And that I think has to be solved first. You doing a caption or a slogan or a beautiful film which shows all this beauty in Pakistan is not going to cut it. You will have to make changes in policy. You will have to make changes in terms of the opportunities that you're offering them. Then, only then, we will be able to, you know, get success out of this endeavor. So yeah, you need to do campaigns for the brand Pakistan, but what about the product Pakistan? The brand is only as good as what the product is. Or yes, a lot can be said about the brand, if it's strong and if it survives a weak product also. But what about the product Pakistan is something that is beyond advertising to fix. It's beyond creatives to fix. One other thing that I think we were discussing with someone is we lost out on sharing our side of the story. Right? We got lagged behind when we shut down our film industry. You know what being a Yankee means or a cowboy means because of the movies that you've seen. You know, it changes your behavior. It tells you about the great American dream. The realities might be something else, right? But you latched onto those stories and you said, oh, okay, yeah, that's what makes America what it is, right? Biggest Hollywood. Or that's what makes India what it is, right? Fantastic storytellers, because they continue to have the platform, good or bad, to shape their storytelling. We got robbed. I don't know who did it or when. It was before I was born. But we had a platform to share our stories, and we, it was just completely shut down. And then from there on, the film industry has never been able to get back on its feet. Right? What is being a Pakistani means? If I look at a Pakistani hero, what does that mean? I don't have a visual coming to mind. If I tell you what does being a patriotic, American means, you have an image in your head, right?
Yeah.
And that's where the creativity and storytelling helps us. It helps us imagine what could have been or what should be. And yes, the dramas are good. Yes, the drama industry has filled in that gap. But for that also, we are, rather than telling hopeful stories or stories of strength and resilience, we're telling stories of a lot of cruelty and zulm, and of people being beaten up, which is creating other stereotypes for us. That's the way a man is supposed to act, beat up his wife. That's the way a mother-in-law is supposed to act, break the marriage, These are also stereotypes, and there's so many wonderful Pakistani people in here, like mother-in-laws who stand by their daughter-in-laws. Like when we did the Shan campaign, a friend of mine, she called me up and she said that me and my mother-in-law, we were crying when we saw that ad. I was like, why? She said, because this is our story. I used to give up. That's her saying, when I used to come back from my job, from my residency, which is again, long hours. And I'll see my daughter that my daughter doesn't want to come to me. She wants to be with the dadi or with the maid. She doesn't want to hang out with me because I'm not there. And I would start crying and I said, I want to give up because this is cruel what I'm doing and this is selfish. And the mother-in-law used to tell her, so Masuma, this is for you. You should, that, it's okay. You can do this. Imagine how proud your children would be that you are a surgeon. Imagine how much pride they will take. She'll forget about this. Don't worry. She's a small child. She won't even remember it. But she would remember you, seeing you going after and making a difference in people's lives. And so who's telling that story, I want to meet those husbands and the brothers and the fathers who stand by, and the women who are also helping other men, right?
Yeah.
Those are the stories that you need to balance them out.
Absolutely. One of the things that you've said in your interviews is that Pakistani companies, it's frustrating for you as an advisor. Actually, those are my words, but you said that Pakistani companies are happy with where they are. They don't want to move forward. There's no real progress that you see. What are the limits that are confining them?
The appetite for risk is the biggest thing. And it's not even in Pakistan, right? We see the best of the Indian ads or the American ads or the British ads. We don't see the crappy work that they make because that doesn't come and it's not goes viral or comes in an award show. It doesn't get shortlisted. So I was judging an award show, Spikes, online. I have 300 entries to judge. There's a lot of really bad work being done in the world, which is mediocre. Which is not taking any risks. But I think that's what every work is like. So I think risk appetite and bravery is, so they say there is no shortage of brains in this business. It's the lack of backbone, which hampers good work from happening. And then laziness too. There is a difference between doing your job or doing the work. And you do a job, it's like, okay, this was what expected of me. This is what they wanted. This is what the boss said. You have to do a billboard on this location so his boss can see it. So let's just do it, you know, because that's my job.
Yeah, there's no drive. Yeah, that's the lack of drive that you see. Or for instance, like some guy who's working on camera or whatever, why doesn't that person aspire to be a DOP one day? Or why is the person who is setting up props not thinking that one day I want to be an art director? What is that? Why is that lack of drive there? Do people not have hope?
No, I don't think that's true. Before COVID, and I'm glad you brought up the DOP, a lot of the big work would go to foreign DOPs before COVID, right? So you'll have very established, really great DOPs coming in from Thailand and coming in from other countries to shoot in Pakistan because you trusted them with that work, right? When COVID happened and the world shut down and slowly and gradually started picking up, a lot of our guys, local guys who were maybe assistants on those teams or who had gotten a degree in cinematography but never got the chance, we're giving an opportunity, right? And now more work is in Pakistan is being done by local DOPs, by our Pakistani people. Because before that, there was always a go-to was, let's just do this, it's easier, you're in safe hands, you are not taking a risk, right? So I think it's both ways. People do want to progress, they do have hope, they have ambition. A lot of people who are working on their weaknesses too. Okay, I think I need to learn to present my work better, let's say, to give people the confidence that I can do it. And they are actively working on it. In the course of my career, I've seen ADs who were, the smallest in the team at that time are now big directors, or people who were assistant producers, or people who used to just do props are now art directors. It is happening. That's see great. Women also who are doing sound design, which didn't used to happen. I had never seen a woman with a boom mic. Now I see them on shoots. So it was a lack of risk and just going with whatever was being done.
That's awesome. That's very good to hear. You're talking about the course of your career. I have to ask you, what reflections do you have when you think of the course of your career that you can share with us?
I don't think I've ever thought about it.
Think now.
Yeah, I'll think now. And nothing stays the same. There's sometimes are good, sometimes are bad. And change will come. It will be painful initially and you'll get used to it. And by the time you'll get used to it, some other change will come. I think, and one thing in the course of my career would be to not stop learning, I think that's the reason that I have a career up till now is because I don't know anything, right? Just that's the attitude that I get up with every morning, that I don't know anything. Let me find out, let me learn, let me unlearn. And I think that's my unlearning is what's happening now. Unlearning.
Yeah. Unlearning, that's the most challenging thing to do, isn't it? Because we have certain set ways of thinking that we've sort of developed over the years, and yet we keep on trying to work around that. That's something that you're doing, you feel? How?
I think unlearning is hard if you tell yourself that there is a need for it. It's actually, I think it's Clint Eastwood who says that the day I say that I know everything is the day that I'm finished. And if you live by that in your head, that this is Clint Eastwood saying that, he's won so many Oscars and he's a legend. If he thinks like that, then surely you can. And I think that's what these role models do for us, right? But it's you inside. What do you gravitate towards? A couple of months ago, I think last year, there was a concert in Dubai happening for Asha Bhosle. She was turning 90 that year. 90 years old, singing on her birthday in a stage where she had like a stand to hold on to because she's 90 years old.
Yeah.
Her voice is not the same which it used to be because she's 90 years old, but she is performing her heart out. And I looked at a woman and I said, if she can do this at 90, what the hell are we complaining about, And she gets up every day to practice. And that's, I think, the biggest difference which will separate all the people from, who would excel in any field. It would be AI or whatever. The people who think that they have to improve every day,
Right.
not prove, improve. I've got nothing to prove. Nobody's got anything to prove. Just saying that I've got this designation and you've got this designation. Nobody cares, honestly, right? It's only you care about how can you improve. So athletes, they practice every day, not on the day of the match, right? The singers, they practice every day. You live that profession. You don't say, okay, this is my work time and all that, right? As advertisers, as creatives, anything can be an idea. So you keep your eyes and your ears open because you are practicing your brain. So coming back to that point of changing and how to excel in the thing, it's just that keep learning and keep improving and just thinking that you don't know anything. There's so much in the world that's still left to be discovered and to find out. And the day you think, I'm it, you're it.
But in a sense, you are a role model to a lot of the young people who are coming into the field. And in a sense, you're also a brand, right? Because aren't you? You're constantly having to prove yourself, you work towards being a certain way, how you present yourself. How do you achieve the work-life balance in that equation?
I think work-life balance is an illusion. Honestly, it's an illusion. Because so first of all, do the profession that you love. The work that you love. Not the job, not the perks, not the big office or not the small office. The work. If you like the work, then it is not work anymore. It doesn't feel like work, right? So if you're driving a car and a good idea comes to you because you like doing that, you like thinking, then it's not work. So you can't switch off your mind. Our job is not to be a shift operator at the airport security. It's not. We take the job with us because this is our working place. This is your office. So in jobs like these, there is no work-life balance. Yes, there is a lot more toxicity and wrong expectations attached to the corporate world, which again have to be fixed from, top to bottom. Then it's not a matter of life and death, honestly. If it can be tackled on Monday, it should be tackled on Monday. And that's the only way that you can ensure a work-life balance is to say my weekends are sacred. Okay, they are sacred. Yes, I can work one weekend. And yes, there's a problem, I will show up. If there is a shoot happening, there is a thing which needs to be done, I will show up. But I'm not going to do this for the 52 weeks. No.
And
those 52 weekends are mine. If I do that, and that should be everybody's philosophy across, not even agencies, even at clients. And let's see how it changes. It says, I'm not going to answer your calls on the weekend. You can WhatsApp me. If I want to, I'll look at my phone. If I don't, not. So in the weekend, then you also have to let go. If you want work-life balance, for a balance, you have to watch where you step. So if you keep picking up your phone and answering those things all the time, yes, there will be emergencies. But not every week can be an emergency. If every weekend you're working, either you don't know how to do your job, or either you don't have the tools to do your job, you don't have the right people to do that job. There is something fundamentally wrong then. That's the only work-life balance I can do. Like, don't do this on the weekend.
And that's the key to stress management also, you would say?
I don't know. I think
I do yoga, just saying.
Yeah.
That helps me.
I was doing yoga and then I'm lazy, then I stop and things like that. But stress has its ways of manifesting for different people in different ways, right? And again, I don't have an answer for it, that how do you do stress management? Yeah, people tell me that you should work out and you should do this. And I tell myself also I should go for a walk. I don't end up doing. I think watching TV or mindless things, or where you don't have to invest any more emotions because you're exhausted from the day already.
Yeah.
You don't have any bandwidth left, right? And just recharging. So I recharge when I read, and I guard that this is my reading time. So
what are you reading right now?
Oh, I'm reading the Brother Karamazov.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which is, I thought it would be very boring, but it's quite interesting. And then I try to read like 2-3 things at the same time. So yeah, but this one, the Brother Karamazov, and the other one, the originals that's what I'm reading. It's a good one.
Okay. One of our previous guests said that creative directors are the new poets of our generation. Would you classify yourself as a poet? You sounded a bit poetic back then.
I don't know if it was Maya Angelou or somebody who said that that the amount of times that the pen or the brush has been picked up instead of the gun, and it's a way to show emotions, right? That people would channel their frustrations and their anger and their longings into art. That's what makes it art, right? I don't know if the creative directors or the commercial work will allow you to do that. And I think that would set a very wrong expectation also. Because, poetry you do for yourself or for the cause that you feel about, or, there was a day when the emotions had to find a way into words and they had to spill out of you and you write, right? But would a 30-second commercial film, or let's say a caption for a post, or a digital stunt that you have to pull out, would allow you the space to do poetry? Of course, craft is very important, no matter what you do.
Yeah.
Craft is something else. Craft is, polishing the marble, and it's making sure that it's done again and again. It's revision. You need craft as a creative director or any creative. It means that knowing that the first idea I wrote is not going to be the best one. Right? It means that all writing is rewriting. It could be one line, it could be one tagline, it could be one dialogue that you need to do, and you will have to rewrite it 50 times. And also, quantity versus quality is a sort of like another misconception. You need quantity to get to quality, right? So this is a famous example that Michelangelo, he was cutting stone, marble at a quarry at the age of 6. Yeah. No wonder when he was 26, he could paint the Sistine Chapel, because he had the craft to do it, and craft only comes from practice and practice and practice. So young people who are entering any field should think about that it is going to take hard work, right? There are no easy ways to get success. You can get quick success, become an influencer, get quick success, but you can only become an influencer because it's hard work also at the background. Do you think it's easy to be a TikToker? No, it's not. Do it. But if you like that work, then it would not seem like work.
So you have advice for young people coming in that you gave, which was going to be my next question, which you've already answered. What is your advice to team leaders?
Get out of your own head. I think that's the most important one. A lot of team leaders put undue pressure on themselves, thinking that now that I am a team leader, I need to act different. Or I need to make sure that nobody questions my decision, and I am the man in the room or the woman in the room and all that. You set these expectations to yourself. Yes, people look towards you for decisions, not for intelligence or wisdoms or have all the answers. You can't have all the answers. So that is one of the biggest mistakes, that when you were a great copywriter and then they made you a creative manager. Now you're a creative manager. Now you have to manage 2 other people and 2 designers or whatever, how big of a team you have. And the skill set that got you there is not going to get you there. You will have to learn a new skill set. It's not copywriting anymore. It's just not writing words. Now you have to think about listening to people's problems and managing timelines and managing the traffic, the workflow, then presentation, all of those things that you did not used to do. So, that thing came, you could be a greatest copywriter, but doesn't mean that you are a great creative manager. And the sense of entitlement that team leaders put on themselves, that I'm entitled to this, right, is again wrong. Because you're entitled to make decisions and then take the consequences of your decisions. That's what the role of a team leader is. That, fine, I heard you. This is, I think, what we should do. If it all goes to, all goes up, it's my problem. I will take it up, right? If it doesn't, you share the credit. So, these sound like beautiful words.
Failures and successes, and have humility and responsibility.
Take the blame for the failures. Share the credit for the success. Okay. But that means you have to be a very secure person. So team leaders, work on yourself first before you can work on your team. It is not your job to fix them. It's your job to fix yourself.
Thank you. Thank you, Atiya, so much for joining us here.
You're welcome. Thank you.